Welcome to Logic Face Off, where we analyze competing claims to determine which stands on stronger logical ground. I'm your host, and today we're examining two viral arguments about nuclear energy that have exploded across media platforms following President Trump's recent executive orders. In one corner, we have the safety evolution argument, which claims modern nuclear technology has become dramatically safer, making extensive regulation unnecessary. In the other corner, the regulatory protection argument contends that nuclear safety exists precisely because of rigorous oversight, and weakening it threatens public safety. Before we determine which argument is logically superior, let's establish our comparison criteria: quality of evidence, logical structure coherence, fallacy presence, and hidden premises. Remember, we're not deciding which conclusion is correct, but which path of reasoning is stronger. Let's begin. First, the safety evolution argument. Its core claim is that nuclear technology has evolved to become inherently safer through engineering advances like automatic shutdown systems and redundant safety features, making extensive regulation a barrier to progress rather than a safety necessity. The evidence provided includes reference to automatic shutdown capabilities, industry safety records showing few major incidents in modern plants, comparisons to France's streamlined regulatory approach, and testimonials from industry leaders about technological improvements. Applying our logic X-ray, we can see this argument follows a causal chain. Technological improvements have created inherent safety. This safety exists independent of regulation, therefore regulation can be reduced without compromising safety. The structure is straightforward, but contains a critical unstated premise that safety features would remain standardized without regulatory requirements. The most notable fallacies include a post hoc error attributing the lack of recent accidents primarily to technology rather than considering the role of existing regulations, and a false dichotomy suggesting we must choose between innovation and regulation rather than optimizing both. What most people miss is how this argument conflates theoretical safety capabilities with operational implementation. The existence of safety technology doesn't guarantee its consistent application without oversight. Now for the regulatory protection argument. Its central claim is that nuclear safety exists largely because of rigorous oversight and that regulatory frameworks ensure consistent implementation of safety measures across all facilities and operations. The evidence presented includes historical accidents that led to regulatory development, studies showing correlation between regulatory strength and safety outcomes, examples of safety violations caught by inspection systems, and expert testimony from nuclear safety engineers unaffiliated with industry. Our logic X-ray reveals a different structure, a preventive causation chain arguing that regulation enforced safety standards prevented accidents. This framework acknowledges that while technology enables safety, human factors, economic pressures, and operational variables necessitate external oversight. This argument's primary weakness is its reliance on counterfactuals, claiming accidents would have happened without regulation, which are inherently difficult to prove. It also occasionally slips into appeal to fear by emphasizing catastrophic possibilities without always contextualizing their probability. What viewers often miss is the argument's nuanced distinction between streamlining inefficient processes versus eliminating substantive safety requirements, a distinction often blurred in the debate. Now, let's compare these arguments side by side. For evidence quality, the safety evolution argument relies heavily on industry testimonials with inherent conflicts of interest, while the regulatory protection argument offers more diverse evidence types but depends on theoretical scenarios. Advantage: slight edge to regulatory protection. Regarding logical structure, safety evolution presents a cleaner, more straightforward argument, but contains larger unstated premises. Regulatory protection has a more complex structure that better accounts for human and organizational factors. Advantage: regulatory protection. For fallacy comparison, both arguments employ rhetorical techniques, But safety evolution's false dichotomy between innovation and safety represents a more fundamental logical error than the occasional appeal to fear in regulatory protection. Advantage: regulatory protection. Here's the surprising revelation. What ultimately separates these arguments isn't their conclusions, but how they handle uncertainty. The safety evolution argument treats technological capability as equivalent to operational reality, while regulatory protection explicitly addresses the gap between what's possible and what's consistently implemented. Based on our logic X-ray analysis, the regulatory protection argument demonstrates greater logical strength, not because its conclusion is necessarily correct, but because its reasoning structure acknowledges more variables and contains fewer unstated premises. The key takeaway for viewers: when analyzing complex safety arguments, look for how each position addresses the gap between theoretical capability and practical implementation. This reveals crucial, unstated assumptions that often determine logical strength, regardless of your personal policy preference. Which argument did you initially find more compelling? Tap the like button if this analysis changed your perspective, and comment below with which reasoning structure you think is stronger and why. For our next Logic Face-Off, we'll be comparing opposing arguments about AI development regulation. Drop your suggestions for which specific claims we should analyze. And if you missed our Wednesday spotlight on appeal to authority fallacies or Monday's full breakdown of Trump's nuclear policy announcement, links to both are in the description. Until next time, keep your logic clear and your reasoning clearer.